Hello, everyone. This documentary is about Mr. Samuel Taylor Coleridge's life. Well, as you may know, Mr. Samuel Taylor Coleridge was born in St. Mary Ottery, England, on October 21st, 1772, and he died on July 25th, 1834, at the age of 61 years old. He was an English poet, literary critic, and philosopher, which, along with his friend William Wordsworth, was a founder of the Romantic movement in England and a member of the Lake Post. Uh, he did several works, but the most important ones are the poem Kubla Khan and um, the other poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. He wrote joint volume works with his friend William Wordsworth as well. Mr. Samuel Taylor Coleridge had a very difficult life. He suffered from several failures and illnesses. He had bipolar disorder, and this affected his behavior with other people. Bipolar disorder in England was not identified as an illness in that time, so no one could treat him and help him with this problem he had. He also suffered from drug addiction, especially opium. Actually, he died thanks to this addiction he had that he couldn't quit. He also had several failures in his life that helped him and uh, relate to the way he expressed feelings and how he wrote poems. First, he dropped out from Cambridge University. Then he came back, but he didn't graduate with honors. So this was so hard for him to handle. Also, he married a woman he didn't love, and he spent all his life hating her. And even though he had children with her, he was sad and he felt empty in his life because he couldn't be with the woman he loved. This series of events he had uh, influenced him in the way of writing and the way he viewed things from a different perspective. So we can conclude that Mr. Samuel Taylor Coleridge is a very important poet, not only in England, but in all the world, because he is considered as one of the main representatives of the Romantic um, era in England. And afterwards, you will hear an interview we did to him, and you will find out more about his life.
Hello everyone, we are here with this famous British romantic poet, Mr. Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Hello, Mr. Taylor.
Hello everyone.
Well, tell us, how are you?
Well, I'm alright, thank you. I'm just feeling a little tired because I had some opium.
Okay, well, that's really bad. You should start quitting it.
I know, but I just can't.
Well, tell us a little bit about your life.
Well, you must know that I was born and raised in St. Mary Ottery, England, on October 21st, 1772.
Oh, very good. Since you were a child, did you like reading?
Well, yes, actually, my father asked me when I was a child if I wanted to practice some sports, but I told him that no because I hated them. Instead, I kept reading and reading. Actually, at the age of 5 years old, I read Robinson Crusoe, Philip Quarle, Belisarius, among other books. So yes, I love reading.
Very good. And did your father's death affect you?
Yes, when my father died, I started behaving very differently with other people and with my mother. I had a very bad relationship with my mother. So yes, I love my father and I had a really good relationship. And when he died, it affected me a lot.
Oh, that's very bad. And here we have that you drop out Cambridge University. Why?
Well, when I started going to Cambridge University, I realized that all the classes were a lot of pressure for me. So I decided that I had to drop out. After that, I started giving lectures and classes in Cambridge University and other universities. And even though I was in a good moment in my life, I just had this feeling that I was a failure because I had dropped out of Cambridge University. And I decided to come back. And then I graduated, but without honors. So that affected me a lot because I just realized that I couldn't handle all the pressure that I had in the school.
Oh, very good. And now talking about your lectures of politics and religion, what was your point of view regarding this topic, which was very controversial and that time in history?
Well, as you must know, England was under the government of George III, and there were a lot of people who were against and in favor of this government. So I talk a little bit about these different point of views. My point of view is that I was a Unitarian person, and about the religion part, well, England in that time and in this time also is a Protestant country, and we had a lot of problems with other countries, like Catholic countries like France, Ireland, and other European countries. So there were a lot of controversial opinions about religion, and I tried to be neutral and to respect everyone's opinion because everyone has a different point of view and we should respect it.
Oh, very interesting ideas. And tell us about William Wordsworth. When did you meet him?
Well, I met him in 1795 with his sister. He was a really good friend of mine. We have been friends since that time. And actually, we wrote a joint volume poetry which is called Lyric Ballads, and it has some poems about him and about my life.
Oh, I have heard that volume. And tell us a little bit about that volume. What poems or what important poems are in there?
Well, about the poems I wrote, the most important that I think I consider the most important poem is Kubla Khan, which I wrote after I dreamt about some things that I will tell you later. And also The Rim of the Ancient Mariner, which is a really long poem that I particularly love.
Very good, and thank you very much for your time. That is all. And now we are going to proceed to the analysis and the explanation of the poems of these famous poets.
Thank you.
Now I will read the poem Kubla Khan by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, or A Vision in a Dream, a fragment. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dumb decree, whereof the sacred river ran through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground, with walls and towers, were girdled round, and there were gardens bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And here were forests ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spot of greenery. But oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill athwart a sudden cover, a savage place, as holy and enchanted as ere beneath a waning moon was haunted by woman wailing for her demon lover. And from this chasm with ceaseless turmoil seething, as if this earth in fast thick pants were breathing, a mighty fountain momently was forced, amid whose swift half intermittent burst. Huge fragments bolted like rebounding hail, or traffic rain beneath the thresher's flail. And mid these dancing rocks at once and ever, it flung up momently the sacred river. 5 miles meandering with amazing motion. Through good and dale the sacred river ran. There reached the caverns, measureless to man, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult Kubla heard from far ancestral voices professing war. The shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the waves, where was heard the mingled measure from the fountain and the caves. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with capes of ice. A damsel with a dulcimer, in a vision once I saw. It was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played, singing of Mount Abora. Could I ever be within me her symphony and song, to such a deep delight to whirlwind me, that with music loud and long it could build a dome in air, that sunny dome, those capes of ice, and none who heard should see them there, and none should cry, beware, beware! His flashing eyes, his floating hair, weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, for he on honey thee hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise. Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and I will talk a little bit about my poem, Kubla Khan, which I consider it is one of the most important poems I wrote. Well, to understand the poem, you must know that I wrote it after having this dream about this Asian civilization and the emperor. I read a biography earlier after going to sleep about the emperor, and I had some opium. So this helped me had this dream, and after this dream, I wrote the poem. I couldn't finish it because I couldn't remember quite good all the dream I had. Well, I will analyze the poem by telling you some of the symbols I consider really important. The first symbol is the river Alf. The river Alf is this big dramatic river that takes over most of the first half of the poem. Another symbol that relates to the river Alf is the ocean. It shows up in the poem, and the ocean is gloomy, mysterious, and it's considered as a faraway place. It's nothing in particular happens there, except that it marks the end of the river that I said before. Another symbol is the Xanadu, that is known as the Pleasure Dome. Uh, this sounds a little more exciting than it really is, but as far as I can tell, it just means like a big, especially nice palace with pretty gardens all around it. It's safe, it's sunny, it's happy, it's like the perfect place to live. Also, the caverns are a really good symbol, and they represent like this huge, frightening, cold, and fascinating place. So the Xanadu and the caverns are like opposite. The Xanadu is this wonderful place, and the caverns are is this symbol that represents the scary part of the poem. The last symbol, last but not least, the woman and her demon lover. This one comes and goes a little fast, but it is a really good image. It gives the power to the poem. Um, this line, where the woman and her demon lover appears, calls up feelings of supernatural power, romance, and excitement. So we can see that the poem expresses a lot of topics, supernatural topics, and it's a fantasy, but it's reality also.